If you use HighLevel and you're looking to create a pipeline for bringing in leads and managing leads more effectively for your business, then I'm going to show you a simple automation that I've used in my agency for years that has simplified the intake and lead management process. We need to get started by building a form that we can place on our website. So we'll go to Sites, Forms, and build one. Let's give our form a name. I typically, for my clients, and when I set these up for my business, I call them just like my main contact form or my lead form, but we'll make this one our main contact form. And we're going to do some very simple customization to this form to make it the type of form that we might put on a landing page for leads or even just on our main contact form on our website. I think this can double very easily as both with just some minor tweaks. We're not going to worry too much about what this looks like. If you do want to adjust that, in the top right here below the Save button, there's a Styles and Options section where you can make all the adjustments that you want. The only adjustment I'm going to make is turn this into a 2-column form. Next, I'm going to go in the upper left. I'm going to add a form element. I like to add a message field to all of my forms. So I'll scroll down to text, I'll find multi-line, and I'll drop that in here. We're going to click on it. We're going to change the label to something like message or how can we help you. We're going to make that required. Then we're going to click into each of our fields. I personally don't like using placeholders and labels, so I'm going to clear all those out. We're going to keep the form really simple, and we're going to add just one field, and it's going to be a single drop-down. We're going to ask them what they're interested in. So we'll click Select a Service, and then we want this field to stretch the whole way, even though we've selected a 2-column layout. So we're just going to go to Field Width and set that to 100. That'll give us more room to type in our service options. And then in the top right, we're going to click Options, and we're going to fill in a few of these. So, all right, so we have our 3 options. You can add as many as you like. I have one client where we have over 20 options, I believe, listed here. It handles it pretty well on desktop and mobile, so you can confidently put just about as many as you want. The nice thing about these forms now versus just a few months ago is that creating this field here for selecting a service used to require you to come into custom fields, but now they take care of all of that for you, and I'm going to show you how we're going to leverage that now with very, very minimal effort. Let's go ahead and save our form just to get it saved. And then under Integrate, this is where you would drop it onto your website. And if you choose Inline, you would just click here, Copy Embed Code. Works great on WordPress. All of my sites currently are WordPress, so I just drop this on there, and it works fantastic. For now, we're going to click Preview to open that form up in a preview window. We're just going to leave it there. We're going to come back to this tab. The next step is to create our opportunity pipelines. If you don't have yours already, follow along. We can create those. And if you have them already, great. You can just watch to make sure you've got everything set up right, and then we'll move on to automations next. So at the top, we need to add a pipeline. We're going to create our first pipeline. We'll just call this leads. Here's how I like to set up my pipeline. So this is kind of insight into how I set this up for my clients, a lot of which are local businesses or businesses that manage leads, and they need to move those leads through a process. And they either use one pipeline for all of their opportunities, or they create multiple pipelines, one for each of the services. We're going to just run with one pipeline, but I'll show you just as we go along how you would apply this for example, if this pipeline was our website development pipeline, we could create another one for JavaScript development, that type of thing. But we're going to say new lead. I always like to make that first stage something like new lead, fresh lead, something like that. Our second one is contacted. The next one is follow-up. For some of my clients, this might be a contacted, not booked, that type of thing. This one is book consultation. Depending on your business, you might do a service scheduled, and then I like to do a service complete, and then I like to call this one request review, and then I like to build an automation into it to request a review. So this is like the typical flow of my pipeline. These names vary depending on the business that I'm working with, but the service complete request review, we're not going to go over in this video. If you are interested in how to automate your reviews this way, please let me know. So I'm going to hit save, and this is going to create our pipeline for our leads, which allows us to go back to opportunities here. And here we go. Now, if we had a different pipeline, like one for each of our services, they'd be here. For the most part, if you have a small business where you're not dealing with a really high volume of leads, I recommend using one opportunity pipeline. I've got some clients that get about 50, 60 leads a day for a variety of services. That makes more sense to do in a different pipeline for each service. Real quick, before we get to the rest of the video, I wanted to let you know that I'm doing one of those sponsoring my own video type things. I know, kind of cheesy, but I wanted to let you know about my HighLevel course. Now, my HighLevel course is a little bit different than everything else that's out there. Most people are pitching the agency side of HighLevel, where you're an agency and you're trying to sell it to your clients. But if you're an actual business owner like me and you just want to use HighLevel for email marketing, automations and integrations with third-party tools, a good CRM, a way to stay organized, then check out my course. I go into great detail on how to get started with the platform from beginner level all the way up to late intermediate, early advanced. So if that sounds like something you're interested in, check out the link below. Okay, so our pipeline is created. Now we're ready to go into our automations and create a new workflow. We're going to start from scratch. Reentry is great. That means if they fill out our form multiple times, they'll still be placed back into the pipeline, which is what we want. Sometimes people contact us multiple times for repeat service. So we'll change our workflow name. We'll just call this lead onboarding or lead intake. And then we'll click add a new trigger. And our trigger is going to be related to this form. So we're going to search for form. We'll say form submitted. We'll add a filter. If the form is our main contact form, whatever form we selected, we're going to click Save Trigger. And at this point, you can add tags to the user. For example, if they filled out the form, you want to tag them, or you can do whatever you want in terms of how you want to segment that user. I'm going to show you just the automation side of things. You don't need to add a contact. They've already been added. So anytime someone fills out a form in HighLevel, they are automatically put in your contacts with whatever information is here. So we're going to go ahead instead, we're just going to add them to our opportunity pipeline. So we're going to search for opportunity. We're going to say create or update opportunity. We're going to say create this in the leads pipeline that we just created, and we're going to put them in the new leads. For our opportunity name, we're going to use the dynamic tags here on the right, or the custom values, and we're going to put in the contact's full name. And then I like to put like a little hyphen or a colon or something like that. And then I like to go to contact, and then we're going to scroll down and we're going to find custom fields. And the custom fields are the 2 additional fields that we added. Let's see how easy it was. We used to have to do a lot more, and now we can just select them from our list here. So we're going to say select a service. So now this means that when they fill out the form, mine would say Doug, and then it would say search engine optimization, which might be a good reason if you're going to select these to shorten these, maybe to use some shorthand. It's up to you though, but we'll leave it like this for now. Opportunity source gets taken care of automatically because it's coming in from the form. If you were bringing these in from a webhook, you'd want to set this differently. You can set a lead value if you want. I don't worry about that on this particular form because we set that manually as we talk with our leads. And then for the status, it defaults to open, so we don't want to worry about that. Next up, I like to do an auto response, and while technically you can do it from the form itself, I think submitting one from here is super easy and gives you more customization. So you can come in here and we'll go search for email. You can send an email to them, and you can write your email here. So this could be from you, from your name, with a subject line of whatever you want it to be. We'll call it our lead auto response, and our from email, if we want, we can customize that. Now, if you have a template pre-made, you can go inside of campaigns. We'll talk a little bit about that in perhaps another video. You can pre-select a pre-done email, which is actually really convenient when making these automations rather than duplicating the whole thing. But this is where you'd write your message, thanks for contacting us, etc. Fully customize that, and you can test your email. So we'll click save on that, and there's our lead auto response. Something else I also like to add in here is an internal notification. So you can do send internal notification. You can select the type. I usually like to do an email. Sometimes my clients prefer SMS, so we'll select that. The subject, you have to set it up, new lead from, and then I like to insert my custom values, put the full name, for custom value, and then we'll go to scroll down, custom fields, select service. So this would say new lead from Doug for search engine optimization. And again, you can select a template, but for this one, just being an internal notification, I like to set up an email right here that says you got a new lead from your contact form. Sometimes I like to describe where it's from. I have a couple clients running pretty large advertising campaigns across multiple different verticals. So I like to put a few more details in here, like you got a new lead from your such and such form from such and such landing page. Sometimes we can pull in custom values for that. But whatever you want to put there. If it's your client, I like to describe, please note you should get back to this person ASAP. A lot of my clients have like front desk people that are getting these notification emails, and I like to remind them that time is of the essence. So I've also found, if this is for you, customize it how you want. If you're doing this for your clients, I have found that sometimes spelling it out is like the name of the game. So you want to put the name, email, phone, whatever fields you're collecting, select service, or just say service in this case, and then message, something like that. And then for each of these, we can just drop in our custom values. So we can do full name for that, the email, right? You're just mapping the fields super easy into your email here for your client or for yourself, so that it's clear as day what this person needs and why they're contacting you. And when you get this email, it's just going to really nicely print all that information into these fields, and it's super easy to get back to the person. So we'll click save on that act. Oh, I forgot the most important part. We need to select the type of email notification or who it goes to. So you can use users in this system. I like to just put a custom email in there. Sometimes what I do is I'll put the name or the email of the front desk person who may not even have a high-level user account at the business. In fact, that's most of the time what happens. So they just get a nice email, fully custom, that says, hey, you got a new lead, here's the details, follow up with them. Okay, so there's our lead intake form. We're going to save that. And then we're going to come back and we're going to create a new automation. So let's start from scratch. And our new automation is going to handle what happens when they get moved into different stages in our pipeline. So our second stage, if you remember, was contacted. So we're going to create an automation here. And the purpose of this automation is that when we send out an email to somebody, like a response, like, hey, thanks for getting back, or like, hey, thanks for reaching out to us about custom JavaScript development. Here's some of our information on it and our pricing, or here's how to book a call. Sometimes those leads are really slow to get back to you, or they just kind of ghost you or don't get back to you, right? They get busy, they forget. So I like to put some automated reminders for leads to keep us top of mind. So the trigger for this is going to be that they are added to the stage in the pipeline for contacted, right? So let's go ahead and show you real quick. I'm gonna actually save this. And we're going to jump back so we can look at our opportunities here. What I'm talking about is if a new lead comes in here, and I'll just put a demo lead in here. We'll just choose John Doe, click create. So we have our John Doe. Let's pretend John Doe came in from filling out the form, etc. And let's say that our office person or we contact John Doe and we put John Doe in the contacted column. Maybe we texted them or phoned them and didn't get a response back. So they're currently sitting in the contact field or the contacted field, and they're just going to sit there until something happens. I often find with my clients that one of the biggest reasons we move to a system like this is because they just never stay on top of the leads. So we're going to build a system that will not only follow up with John Doe, but also with our office staff or with us to remind us that we need to reach out to John Doe. So let's go ahead and jump back into automation here, and let's go into our contacted that we made. So the trigger for this is that they are put into that contacted column. So we're going to go to search for opportunity, and we're going to choose pipeline stage changed. We're going to give this a name, and we'll say moved to contacted. It's just for whatever you want to label it. Sometimes it helps when working on enough of these automations to label them properly. So we're going to say if they are in the pipeline leads, right? Because you could have multiple pipelines, and they are in the pipeline stage contacted. So that is the trigger. When that happens, we are going to set a wait condition. And that wait condition is going to be however long you feel you need to let that person sit there before they are reminded that you contacted them and before you or your staff need to be notified that they've been sitting there. I like to make this typically 1 day. And yes, you can change this depending on your business in the advanced window, whether you want this to be weekdays only or not. We'll just leave it 7 days a week. So what's going to happen is it's going to wait a day. You could set this to 2 days if you don't want to be pushy. We're going to wait a whole day. And at that point, we're going to do an internal notification. And we're going to, in this case, SMS or whatever you want to do. If you choose notification, it'll be in the system. But we'll just send another custom email. For whatever reason, the clients that I work with love getting emails. So we'll customize this to say something like check status. And then we're going to put in here full name for the user. And then we'll put in the custom value for service, right? So check the status of Doug for search engine optimization. And then I like to put a little message here that says, Doug has been in the contact pipeline, something like it's been 24 hours, whatever you want to put in here that reminds the person. And then I'm not going to repeat all the work that I did, but you might want to put that person's information here again, just to make it super easy at the fingertips of your staff to know what's going on. And again, sometimes the staff for my clients, they don't even come into HighLevel, so they're not even using HighLevel's contact email sending from the contact profile, sometimes they're just sending manual emails, and that's okay, right? You can adapt this system to work however you want it to work for you. So it's been 24 hours. You need to reach out to these people. I forgot to set this, so we'll just set this to custom email. And then also inside of this stage here, you can send another email to your contact. So in this case, it would be send email or SMS, whatever it might be. The subject line would be checking in, whatever you want it to say. And then, another email from them that says, or an email to them that says, hey, Doug, we reached out to you yesterday, just checking in if you got our message, blah, blah, blah. However you and your company like to set that up. So that would go to the person who filled out the form. So it's really nice. You don't even need to set an email. It just goes right to them. So that would be our auto follow-up. And sometimes what I like to do is set another internal notification 24 hours later, set another email to go to this person. You can choose how many times you want to repeat this process by putting wait, internal, and email. Super easy way to do that is to click these three dots, click copy all actions from here, and then just drop it. And you're basically just duplicating this however long you want it to be. So now if we come back into our opportunity pipeline, what's going to happen when the user gets dropped into contact, that timer is going to start. But what happens if you make contact with John Doe and move John Doe to booked opportunity? We need to get them out of that automation that they were in and start the booked consultation automation, which might include different emails and information. Maybe it might even be a service scheduled. You might jump all the way to that stage. So we need to come back into our automations. We need to go into our contacted. We need to create a new automation, and we are going to make the trigger be for whatever field we're moving them into or stage we're moving them into. So this one, maybe we'll just do booked consultation. So we'll search for our opportunity pipeline status changed, right? You should be getting really familiar with this now. So they are in the pipeline. For this one, we just have the one, but they're in the pipeline, in the stage. Let's say, what did we say? This one was booked consultation. And again, you're going to follow the same process for the rest. And for the sake of the length of this video, we're not going to build every one of these, but I'm showing you the gist so you can get an idea for how this works. So the pipeline status has changed. I like to give this a name. Moved to booked consultation. That way, when we're looking at our pipeline, we can read it and understand it. So what's going to happen? Well, first things first, we need to remove them from the other automations. So do a search for, and we'll say remove from workflow. And we're going to say remove from another workflow. And in this case, what does it make sense for them to be in contacted? Now, depending on your business setup, they might be in other workflows. So for example, I cancel this and I come back to remove. If I chose remove all workflows, I would uncheck current workflow, obviously. Now, the problem with this option, yes, if they moved all the way, let's say, to booked or scheduled service directly from contacted, then we don't know if they were in contacted. We don't know if they were in follow-up. So this does technically work for those, but it kills any other automations they might be in or workflows. Like maybe they're in our lead magnet onboarding. So it's up to you whether or not this one works. I typically avoid it. And typically what I'll do is I'll just come in here and I'll add an additional one, right? So remove from workflow, another workflow. We'll say remove from the contacted workflow, save. I'll add another one, say remove from workflow. And I'll just make sure that I've covered my bases and I've removed them from contacted, follow-up, all the ones that might have automation. So it's okay to add multiple remove from workflows. That stops those automated emails from going out to your staff and to the lead. And now we're just going to do exactly what we did in other automations here. We're going to create our internal notification. We're going to create our email that goes out to our lead. Maybe in this case, it's for a booked consultation. It's an email describing the consultation process. Please have these items ready, that type of thing. Just really good for text and email type notifications. So let's go ahead and just do a quick little test fill out of this form to show you how it gets populated. All right, if I pop into my opportunities, you can see that my form submission was completed. You can see demo dude there looking for custom JavaScript, and you can see that it does attribute the main contact form, which is the name of the form, for the submission. So now what remains to finish this off? Well, we would just need to create automations for each of the stages here that warrant it, right? When they get moved into book consult, we have one. Maybe we need some for follow-up, service scheduled. These would be those emails that get sent out, or maybe you even send webhooks to other platforms if you have like service fulfillment tools. Like I work with a courier service that needs to send it over to their courier delivery platform. We use a webhook for that. And then once you're done at the very end, your lead can go directly into the service complete. You can build an automation to mark it as one, to request a review. And if you are interested, I'll make another video on that to show how that's done. So I hope that was helpful on how to use HighLevel for a very simple and easy to deploy lead management system. Typically works very well for local businesses like med spas and doctors and things like that, which is a large number of the clients that I have in my agency. Works really well for logistics companies and even kind of like web development houses, IT companies. A lot of them I help manage and set up these lead management workflows. Works great for main contact forms and for advertising as well. So hopefully that was helpful getting you started on how to set up that lead management system. If you have any questions at all, feel free to let me know.